So we're going to continue with example one with this next video, because there's a few examples that you have to see when you're solving for absolute value. How do we get to the actual answer? So in this case, you're going to notice that the absolute value is already by itself. So here we have 2x minus 3. The absolute value of 2x minus 3 equals 1. Okay, since the absolute value is all by itself, we need to create two problems. In the last problem, we just had x was equal to, the absolute value of x was equal to 5. In this case, we have a little bit more than that. So here's what you need to do. There's always going to be two answers. So when we try to solve for those two answers, we need to solve one for positive and one for negative. So I need to set up two equations with this. The first equation will be 2x minus 3 equals 1. So I always tell the students that the first equation is exactly the same as the equation that's written there. I just took away the absolute value symbols. The second equation is going to be 2x minus 3. So your absolute value piece stays the same, but instead of it equaling 1, now it is going to equal a negative 1. Okay, so that's where we're kind of going to get our positive and our negative. 2x minus 3 equals 1, and 2x minus 3 equals negative 1. This will always occur whenever you get down to the absolute value equal to some constant. So in order to get our two answers, we're first going to solve this equation. We're simplified on both sides. We're going to use the property of equality, which in this case will be addition because it's minus 3, so we're going to add 3 to both sides. For sake of time, if I add 3 on this side, I'm only going to end up with 2x. And if I add 3 on this side, 1 plus 3 equals 4. Okay. Now, in order to get x all by itself, to undo multiplication or the inverse of multiplication, we do division. So when you see this, we know we have to take away the 2. So we have to divide both sides by 2. So x equals 2. So in this case, one of our answers is x equals 2. We'll come back to that here in a second. Our other equation that we have to solve is the same thing again. So this is a little bit easier because we still know we're going to use the addition property of equality and add 3 to both sides. So if I add 3 to this side, the only thing that's left is 2x because the negative 3 and the positive 3 cancel each other out. If I add 3 to that side, I did this with adding and subtracting integers early in the year. So if I have 1 negative and 3 positives, I know the positives are going to win because there's more of them, but I take that 1 negative and it wipes out one of those positives, which leaves it with positive 2. So the answer over here is going to be 2 positives or just a positive 2. Now, if I divide both sides by my 2 again to continue with my properties of equality, I will end up with an answer of 1x equals 1. Now, here's why these make sense. Here's why we can have two answers to this. If you take your answer, your solution is 2, and you place it in here, put it back in the original equation. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 3 is 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1. So I know that that's correct. If I take this one and I put it in here, 2 times 1 is 2, and positive 2 and negative 3 make a negative 1, and the absolute value of negative 1, again, is equal to 1. So we found two variables, two numbers that we can place in here for the absolute value that will make this absolute value equation true.